Welcome to Keeping Score. I'm Rick Horrow. Each week we bring you insights from the playmakers, deal makers, and rule makers in the world of sports. I'll give you my take on some of the items of the week using my 30 years of experience doing deals for teams, leagues, and players in the $750 billion business of sports. Plus, we'll talk with a central figure in the sports world. The views expressed in this podcast are my own and do not represent the views of Reuters. Let's get started. $100 million. That's how much Novak Djokovic has banked in prize money for his career. He passed the mark with his fourth-round victory in the French Open, sending him to the quarterfinals. The world number one ranked men's tennis player joins an elite club with only two other members, Tiger Woods and boxer Lennox Lewis. He's also the only one in the club who looks nowhere near the end of his athletic dominance as well. Imagine getting a tax write-off to play golf. A new bill in Congress would do just that. According to Golf Digest, the FIT Act would make purchases of clubs, balls, instruction, and other costs tax deductible for up to $1,000 for an individual and $2,000 for the head of a household or family. The goal is to increase the physical fitness of Americans and potentially lower health care costs. As one of those potentially sedentary Americans who plays over 150 rounds per year, I'm all for it. And the Oakland Raiders have hired a consultant with connections to help them try to move the team to Las Vegas. The Vegas Review-Journal says Tim Leiweke has joined the effort. He's a former CEO of Anschutz Entertainment Group, which owns stakes in the LA Lakers and LA Kings, among other franchises. But he's also the brother of Todd Leiweke, the chief operating officer of the NFL. Tim tells the paper, besides his brother, he has a very good relationship with Commissioner Roger Goodell, among others. The Raiders 6 months ago may have had no options. Now they may have at least three: Vegas, Oakland, Santa Clara, and look at St. Louis again. Now, how the focus on concussions in football has affected Pop Warner. My conversation with Executive Director John Butler. I'm a board member of the organization. Let's get the huge helmeted elephant in the room out of the way first. You talk Pop Warner, you talk youth football, and the first thing everybody talks about in media is concussion prevention. Do you want your kids to play? And the irony is that you've been dealing with safety issues in the threshold since day one. So, first of all, give me your latest information relative to the congressional hearings. I know that you've been invited to testify in front of a committee in Congress, and your issue is analyzing whether or not you're going to. One of the big questions from this committee is what changes you've done after Jeff Miller, the SVP of Health and Safety for the NFL, acknowledged a link between football and degenerative brain disease as if it crossed the Rubicon, and now they're talking to everybody else in football as if, what are you doing? And you've been doing things a lot well before that, so talk a little bit about that.
Well, it starts a long time ago. Before my tenure at Pop Warner, we've always had an age-weight schematic, so that kids are matched by both age and weight. More recently, in 2010, we were the first National Youth Sports Organization to enact our own concussion rule, modeled on the Lysted law from Washington State. And it's very simple. It says that any head injury, the participant must be removed from play, whether it's practice or game. They cannot return to play until they are signed off on in writing by a medical professional trained in concussion recognition. So it takes all the pressure off the coach. It takes all the pressure off the parent who says, oh, he's fine, put him back in. We know a lot more about concussions. Then in 2012, we were the first football organization at any level to institute two rules limiting the amount and time of contact in practice. And with those rules changes, and then in 2014, we started requiring all of our coaches to take the heads-up football training course from USA Football.
Now, 12, just to interrupt for a minute. Now, 2012, if my timing is correct, that's well before a lot of these investigations even started.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
2014, we started requiring coaching education on an annual basis, and that combination of the coaching training and the rules changes mean that compared to independent non-Pop Warner programs who don't do the heads-up football training, we have 87% fewer overall injuries in practice and 76% fewer concussions in practice.
And now the the latest rules that have generated a lot of publicity about the elimination of kickoffs.
Yeah, we've eliminated kickoffs at our 3 youngest age levels, feeling that kickoffs, and less so at our age range, to be honest, versus high school and college, but kickoffs has the relatively the highest rate of injury, and it's essentially 22 people running at each other at full speed, and less so at our age range, but we just feel that it's worth trying. We think it's going to be a success, and see where we go from there.
Business, non-business, and business questions. First, non-business. As a passionate dad who I've known for a long time, how does it feel to be in the middle of this controversy, and in many ways called before the Congress Committee on Energy and Commerce, and lumped with others who may not care as much about the sport? Let's ask that question broadly first.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. The media has been so singularly focused on football. I very tongue-in-cheek have said in a number of interviews, we all know kids only get concussions playing football. The reality is kids get concussions in all kinds of different ways. Football or any organized sport doesn't hold a candle to concussions in bicycle riding, skateboarding, rollerblading. There's all kinds of issues, and finally some pediatricians are coming out very strongly and saying the risks of inactivity so far outweigh the risks of any organized youth sports. It's interesting, the Sports and Fitness Industry Association annual survey of youth, they list, it's either 105 or 108 activities that kids can do, and the percentage of kids who do nothing in a given year has gone up 6 or 7% in the last several years. So frightening.
Frightening. Now the business response. Kids, youth sports, youth football, kids coming in less. What are those numbers? And also, really important, the insurance policy numbers as well. Just give me your general perspective on how all of this, from the NFL perspective, has impacted you.
Our numbers were down in 2010, 11, and 12. We've been flat ever since. It's interesting times. The kids who want to play generally are still playing. I think the marginal ones, it's a shame, but maybe they aren't, and that is a shame, I think. It's interesting, too, we formed a new organization a few years ago called the National Sports Concussion Coalition, of which I serve as president, and all of the other sports realize that they have a concussion issue, too. There just hasn't been any media focus on it. So, again, kids get concussions, all kinds of, if you take a normally healthy, active child, male or female, 8, 10, 12 years old, who wants to play football, it's not like they're going to sit on the couch wrapped in bubble wrap. They're going to climb a tree and fall out, or ride a bicycle. And
yet you cringe, and it's not your legal bones or your business bones, maybe it's your heart, whenever you see a Bubba Smith or a latest CTE victim and issue. How are we going to resolve this long term?
Well, I think as a layman, I follow the lead of the Doctors in our Medical Advisory Committee, but both a number of them and some others also feel that we probably have a genetic and or chemical predisposition towards having problems or not, similar to family history of heart disease or cancer. They're doing so much research now, and it's a really exciting time, but we're at early days of that. They are looking at certain chemicals that react, and is that the cause of it? We don't know yet.
Well, as promised, as a normal interview, we got that issue out of the way, and probably next to the most important specs in all of this are where Pop Warner is, where's it been, where's it going from a budget perspective, a business perspective, and most important, the brand perspective. History of Pop Warner, where it is today, where do you think it's going, and where the business of Pop Warner impacts all of youth football?
Well, we are the best known brand. We've been around since 1929. Certainly, we are clearly leading the way in terms of safety. The research company that did the data study of injuries that I cited a moment ago, basically his recommendation is that if kids are playing football, they should be playing Pop Warner football. and we feel very strongly that way. Many times parents aren't aware if their child is playing football. They sometimes assume it's a Pop Warner program when it's not. As far as where we're going, it's an exciting time. We're getting more and more media exposure. Met with the Disney and ESPN folks while I've been down here. They're looking into more ways to get more airtime for us, which would obviously be a great thing. It's kids running around having a good time, and we try to keep it. Safety is our number one concern. We try to keep it as fun as possible.
And safety and fun, they do coexist. And as a business person who's been at this for a long time, how do you protect and perpetuate the brand?
It's never easy, the nonprofit world these days, for sure. But certainly with the help of folks we're working with, and we have some great business partners, sponsors, and partners, and some interest from some others, and certainly plan to grow that.
What's the latest number of kids playing football?
225,000 football.
But yet, 100,000 cheer.
Yeah, over 100, yeah.
And I would argue that it is one of the least publicized and least known elements of your business, but you're going to correct that right now.
No, we're very proud. We have about 125,000 cheerleaders and dancers. We're the oldest and largest youth cheerleading program also. And the one issue that's important to us is cheerleading. Since Title IX was written 40-some years ago, cheerleading is truly a sport these days. And we'd love to see it declared as such.
You'd love to see it, and a lot of people would love to see it. Is that going to happen relative to the Title IX era? Is there a political movement to deal with that today?
I think everyone is very leery of touching so much as a comma in Title IX, and understandably so. Title IX has done a lot of great things. Unfortunately, it does say cheerleading is not a sport, it's an extracurricular activity, so we'd like to see that changed.
Where are you internationally in the next few years?
Hoping to branch into Canada. We've had Canadian teams come down, play exhibition games during our Super Bowl several times. Mexico has expressed great interest about coming in as full members. We've got a couple of small programs just across the border, but we've got serious interest from down near Mexico City, from Panama, a couple other countries in Central America. Europe, I think, will be there within a few years.
So finally, and John Butler has, as we know, as one of the many board members who actually votes on his existence, will have a green light as long as he wants to. So here's the next question. How long is John Butler running Pop Warner, and what's next for you?
I wish I knew. Honestly, I never thought I'd be here 25 years. And, it's been very rewarding. I've enjoyed it. And certainly with the whole, overhype of the concussion issue, it's not a good time to leave if I wanted to.
No, it's not, but Pop Warner's in really good hands with John Butler, Executive Director, Rick Horrow, keeping score. Be back in a minute. Thanks for listening to this edition of Keeping Score. I'm Rick Horrow. The producer of the show, Alex Cohen. Associate producer, Bethel Habte. Assistance provided by Tanner Simpkins and Carla Swadek. And the executive editor of Reuters Digital, Dan Colarusso.